Organisms bearing symbols and flags, searching for truth. That's when I found it. You don't have to panic. We are merely here to save the planet. We won't be complacent in this damage. This is vital information. Take advantage.
I'm Terrell Jackson, the pastor of the Macedonia Baptist Church of Bel Air Cove, just outside of Ville Platte, Louisiana. We may be just a little difficult to find, but when you get here, you'll realize you're right at home. The mission of our church is the same mission Jesus gave over 2,000 years ago, and that's to reach the lost for his kingdom. We hope you're encouraged by today's gospel presentation because it's tailor-made for you. If you're a regular with us, you already know about our mobile app and its many resources. If you're new to us, go to our website, and there you can learn more about us. You can also go to the link that says, I'm new, tell us more about you. Also, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Our lives are super busy. And just in case you miss us on Sundays in our live stream, on Wednesdays in our Bible exploration, you can go to our website or to our mobile app, and there you can find all of our previous sermons or Bible studies. At Macedonia, we have a motto where we say we love you to life. So come to Macedonia and experience the life-transforming power of the Word of God, and you'll see why we love you to life. My darling, my dear, Thank y'all for joining us. Come on in the room as we have another interesting conversation on tonight about marriage, relationships, love. Man, I'm excited about tonight's lesson. We're in the book of Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon. Looking at the 5th chapter, looking at verses 2 through 8. Our topic on tonight is going to be about can't get right and how we get into this cycle where we just simply can't get it right. But man, here at this place where we love you to life, love is the topic of conversation on tonight in relationships. This book, Song of Solomon, Song of Songs in some places, one of the 5 poetry or what they call the wisdom literature. This book of wisdom helps us, this particular book helps us with things of the heart, relationships and romance. You like romance?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What about you?
Oh, I love it. Romantic.
Yeah. We've been in this book about love and respect. We've been talking about that. And it's a wonderful book. But man, we want to come into this book that God has given us, the Bible book. And in love and respect, in that book, it talks about the crazy cycle. It talks about the energized cycle. It talks about the rewarded cycle. But the theme of this book, Song of Solomon, I've come up with another cycle. And it's the can't get right cycle. These 8 chapters are full of the same repetition. And the repetition is that there's this couple. And this couple, they have this desire for one another. And they love each other. And then they seek out each other to get on the right page. Then they find each other. And man, when they're together, man, it's right. And then after a while, they get comfortable with each other and then they separate for whatever reason. And then that whole cycle begins where they're separated. And so now they're trying to get back together. And so that's the cycle. And in chapter number 5 is, it's really kind of these 8 verses that we picked out on tonight really kind of really explodes that can't get right cycle that all couples get on. We're going to explain it as we go through these verses. If you don't mind, Brother Fontenot, if you pick up at verse number 2.
I sleep, but my heart waketh. It is the voice of my beloved that knocketh, saying, Open to me, my sister, my love, my dove, my undefiled. For my head is filled with dew, and my locks with the drops of the night.
All right. Yes.
Look, what you blushing for? Listen, this book, when we talk about, or this particular chapter in this book and as a whole, here it is that there's this man, and this is the first time he speaks in this particular chapter, but he's trying to get the attention of his wife. Right. And she's inside. He's been out. It's late in the evening. He's been out, and he's trying to get in the house. And I want to put it out there already. They're not mad at each other. They love each other. You're going to find that she's later on in the verses, she's going to talk to him in loving terms. This has nothing to do with people who don't love each other. Right. This is about people who absolutely love each other, but yet still sometimes we just simply can't get it right.
Right.
And so she's in there and she's sleeping and she's having this restless sleep. And then he speaks, is what it said, opens up and says. So now he's trying to get her attention, but he's trying to get her attention by talking to her. Right. Then the next thing that happens is he takes further action. But now he begins to knock on the door so that it's not just him speaking, but he takes, physical action to get her attention. And then he, even while he's talking to her, sharing his discomfort, the discomfort that he is experiencing. Unlike the book that we've been reading, these are people who are okay with communicating with each other. They're okay with sharing their vulnerable. Y'all know what I mean.
Yes.
They can be vulnerable with each other.
Yeah.
And so they're okay with sharing that.
Yeah.
And man, this is a wonderful place to be. But even when you talk about being in relationships, there are some things that we can tweak, and we could be in love but yet get comfortable with one another.
Right. I like that when he's trying to get her attention, even though he could be a little what's the word, agitated, aggravated for having, I've been outside in the dew, but she's not opening up. But the words that he used to get her attention are very loving.
Yes.
So he recognizes that she needs to be handled with love and care.
Right.
So he says, my love, my dove, my perfect one. Right. And if he had a little edge to his voice, you wouldn't know it. Or if he's aggravated or upset for being left outside, you wouldn't know it. And I think that is good in communicating. If you want me to hear you, to hear what you're saying, and you want it to be received, then say it in a manner that I would be more willing, easier to receive. So how you package your words do matter.
Yes, it does.
And I can admit that that's a challenge for me. I don't know about you, but there are times when I can there's something that I want, but I may have asked, but then you didn't respond, and we're gonna see that later on. But then, so now my tone isn't always like this. My love, my love, see, Brother Fondo, he's mastered it. You heard him read it. He knows how to do it. But there's some of us who are struggling, who learning from masters like this fella here. And I think that's the whole goal of the Bible as a whole, is that it doesn't just teach us about how to love your neighbor. It teaches you how to love your wife and your significant other. And we spend a lot of time with the love your neighbor thing, but we don't love in our own home. We don't have that love in our own home.
Yes.
We do more in these church settings for love, but in our homes we withdraw to places where it doesn't have this feel, my system, I love my dove.
And he also is saying it's okay for a man to let his guard down with his wife. If you're going to be vulnerable, you should be able to open up yourself, your heart, your feelings to the person that you are married to.
Right.
So, and in the craziest, not the crazy cycle, in this can't get right cycle, number 3 really shows us how we can easily get there. Easily get there.
Yes.
Read number 3 for us.
I have taken off my robe. How can I put it on again? I have washed my feet. how can I defile them?
So her response is, I've taken off my daytime
Right.
clothes.
Mhm.
Now she in romantic clothes
Right.
now.
Yeah,
She's
yeah.
in romantic clothes. But she's gotten herself into a comfortable place. She's
Mhm.
saying, how can I shall I inconvenience myself
Yeah.
by getting up to come and open
Right.
up the door?
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
How difficult is it to wash your feet? I don't know. There are places on my body that I really, really scrub. But I don't do a lot of scrubbing on. That's just me personally.
Yeah, women are different.
Well,
Yeah.
We're different about
Yeah.
our feet. No,
Right.
really, and I think that's a good point,
Yes.
because for women, we really take time and attention to our feet.
Mhm.
And I guess y'all get pedicures, and that's not something that men get. And so, when understanding that language, but what I'm asking you to do is to put that aside and just simply come and open the door. How
Yeah.
difficult is it? And you could be in love with someone and still not be willing to
Yeah.
do little things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, how we get on
Yes.
that can't get right cycle,
Right.
that I love you, but it just may be a little thing that I'm just not willing to do right now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
it really can get you to spiral
Yeah.
into a place. And this thing begins to escalate as we continue to read.
And even, if you look at those two verses that, his passionate words and his love for, the person, whether it's his wife or,
No, it's his wife.
It was his wife. Then. All right. But even that, the words that he was using, that should have touched not only her emotion, but her heart.
Right.
She should have felt that. That's
Right.
something that she should have said, wow, man, like amazing. Like, okay, I'm going to hurry up and go open the door, but she still do it in a slow manner.
Right.
Right. She still
She's
wasn't
hesitant,
receptive
yeah.
of what he said.
Right.
And so the person on the other end, I don't know. The scripture didn't say that, what he was like, like whether he was getting agitated because he'd been out there for a while.
Right.
But yet and still what he did, her response was something totally different.
Mhm. Yes.
And when you can look in the language, and I talked last night in our Bible study about the literalities, that when you're reading something, you can deduce that, yes, he had been out there for a while.
Mhm.
He wasn't in the rain.
Right.
Now, if
Right.
you're in the rain, you don't have to be in rain for a long, long time to get wet.
Right.
But he said it was the dew that's got me wet. You
Yeah.
got to be outside a
A long
while
time.
for
Right.
dew to get wet. So,
Yeah.
but yet he's still patient.
He's still
Yes.
patient.
He's
Right.
enduring. So that's man, that speaks
Yeah.
of his love for her
Yeah.
and his patience there. But look at number 4. Pick up brother Fontner, number 4.
My beloved put in his hand by the hole of the door, and my bowels were moved for him.
So he has done something, and I don't want to get deep into this. He stuck his hand inside the door, because the lock, not in like our doors on the outside, it's on the inside. And you could latch it a couple different ways, but the way it's latched, he still can't unlock it. And so, but she knows he's there,
You're right.
and he is close enough to her that his presence moves her. And so because of that, now she's moved to do something. And it speaks to the closeness, but sometimes when we move, in the next verse we'll find that sometimes you could move a little too
late.
a little too late.
Yes.
So
Somebody said last night she was playing hard to get.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I remember when I was growing up that, when you play hard to get, you don't get got.
That's a good one.
So number five.
And
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I rose to open for my beloved, and my hands dripped with myrrh, my fingers with liquid myrrh on the handles of the lock.
So this, what she goes to experience, this myrrh that's on there, it's expensive. It's his fragrance. It's like his cologne, but he's bringing this to her. It's a gift that he's bringing to her, and it's evidence that of his love that he's bringing to her. But when she gets there, the evidence is still
Right.
there,
Yes,
but he
he's gone.
has
Yes.
he has
Yes.
withdrawn.
It's like walking in a room where someone has been, but
Yes,
they're no
you don't
longer
see-
there, but
yes.
their scent lingers,
Right, right.
and you could drink it in. You're like, oh,
Yes.
and that's with some of the cologne that you wear.
Yes.
There's some of it that is so intoxicating
Mhm.
that it can
Mhm.
really.
Somebody said I need some of that.
well, it brings back all kind of emotions
Yes.
and
Yeah.
feelings
Yes, it
and
does.
thoughts
Yeah.
because you're associating that with that person.
Yes. yes,
And what's lingering is what he has, what he's left behind. It's a reminder, like you say, of his presence,
Mhm.
and it's also a reminder of his effort.
Mm.
Because sometimes when you think about,
Yeah.
you could buy a cheap cologne,
Yes.
or you could buy something like Myrrh.
Right.
Mhm.
And so but if you buy cheap cologne, high karate, you know,
Old Spice.
oh, but that you could also, it's a symbol of the effort that I'm
Yeah.
willing to undertake
Mhm.
to get your attention.
Right.
Mhm.
And so this right here is, it's reminding her that, of his effort. That man, he went through great
Yeah.
experience, great
Yeah.
expense
Right.
to get my attention.
Yes.
And so, but he was ready,
Right.
but she wasn't ready.
They
Right.
couldn't get
Right.
right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then now she's ready,
And
but
he's
he's
gone.
moved on.
Yeah. This reminds me of when we were dating. Anthony used to wear some polo.
Yeah.
And he would wear polo cologne. And I mean, he put a lot. And when he would leave, my mama would say, Bully was over here. And she would smell it, that same smell.
Yeah.
But he knew that's what I like. So he would wear it, when he would,
And listen, at the time, polo, once upon a time, and I remember about that time, that polo was, it wasn't cheap. It was
no,
an
it
expensive
wasn't.
cologne.
The green
very, very
bottle,
popular.
the green one.
Yeah, with the little man. and
Yeah.
everything.
But
Oh.
and for something that we kind of touched on a little bit, how that he was ready, but she wasn't.
Yeah.
And then when she got ready, then it's kind of like the thrill is gone.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of
Long
like
gone
so.
away.
But
Yeah.
you stop and think about sometimes that's real in real marriage.
It is
Yeah.
real.
You know
It
what I
is.
mean? If you really stop and think about it, whether or not you're tired because of your job, or whether or not you're just not in the mood, or whether or not it could be a lot of whether or not, but
Yeah,
then
for whatever
how does
reason.
that affect marriage?
Right.
How does that affect, our intimacy,
Right.
Yes.
our quality time with each other,
Mhm.
and that's kind of like, I'm pretty sure there, many marriages deal with that.
Mhm.
It is real.
It is.
Yeah.
real. It's
You
a
know.
real
You
thing.
could have the ladies have all their candles out and everything is nice. And then
Yeah.
he come in the room and I'm knocked out. Like you was reading too long.
Yeah.
This is gone, buddy.
Well, you
Candle done dried out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I mean, that's what the blue in the lid, like, if you see all that going on, then you put your book down for a little while.
Yeah, I know.
Because you can always go read later.
Yeah,
It's
sound
done.
Sound like something is going
Yeah,
on.
you
over
know,
there
but
at the
you know, you
Fontenot
just have to,
residence that
if
Candace-
you see
But listen,
something going on, then you invite yourself.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah,
it's a
come to
real
the party.
Thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah,
I'm-
but you
I'm
keep
there.
reading that chapter, you're going to be reading a whole bunch because,
It happens at the Jackson
yeah,
House as well.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's how it is,
That's a cycle that happens, and
Yeah.
and it's not. It has nothing to do with whether or not you love each other or
Right,
not.
Right.
right.
It's just that we sometimes we get off a little
Mhm.
bit. In cars, it's called you've jumped timing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That and when a car jumps timing, it runs rough.
Yeah.
It runs really bad. It burns more fuel, takes more energy for it to
Right, right,
operate.
right.
And so that happens in our marriages
Yes.
everywhere. When you're not in tune and not in time, and when you're out on this, you can't get right in your cycle. It disrupts a lot of things.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah.
And so now he has disconnected because we're
Right.
not on
Right.
the same
Right.
page.
Page,
We're not
yeah.
on the same
Timing is
wavelength.
not right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Number 6. Whose turn? Your turn.
I opened for my beloved, but my beloved had turned away and was gone. My heart leaped up when he spoke. I sought him, but I could not find him. I called him, but he gave me no answer.
So the evidence that his love was there was in verse number 5. Here in verse number 6, reality really kicks in. Like reality kicks in, and a lot of times in relationships, we realize he's gone, but he's really not just him, but her. We may have realized that they're gone, but they probably checked out a long time ago.
Yeah.
That they may have been present in the house, but they've been gone a long time ago because we simply can't get right, and we don't take the time and attention to check our timing, to get everything back in alignment.
Yes.
Because we think that love is enough.
Right.
We think that our love for each other, and listen, love is the greatest thing, but a lot of time, but love is not simply enough.
Right.
You can have people who truly love each other and they go to divorce court simply because we just don't get on the right page, simply because the small things, just the little things that we're just simply not willing to do. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing all of that. I remember Betsy used to get frustrated about picking up my clothes. Like, I would just take my clothes off and put them, and she would get so mad about it. But then I remember one day she stopped getting mad about it, and she would just pick up the clothes. And I noticed that she stopped fussing about picking up the clothes. And when she stopped fussing about picking up the clothes, I knew it still bothered her. At that point, I said, man, well, goodness, how much is it, for you to pick up your clothes? And so I started picking my clothes up. Just, here's the dirty basket. And remember one time she comes and she said, hey, buddy, come on, let me show you. Look, this is where the dirty clothes go. And I'm taken aback by it. But now I'm saying, this could be something that says, hey, I'm not your mama, and I'm never going to be your mama to pick up after you. Pick up your clothes. And we could have been off kilter for a long time, but the small things, making a small adjustment, just making a small adjustment. And one person in the relationship can't be the only person who's making the adjustment. Everybody has to make the small adjustment.
Absolutely.
And we have to be conscious of that. Because when she calls, he doesn't answer now. Now she's trying to get his attention, or he may be trying to get her attention. But now none of them are speaking the same language. We might be speaking that, you might be speaking my language, but I'm silenced. And I'm silent because if I communicate with you, or because of the way we've communicated in the past, I don't know what kind of reaction I'm going to get from you. So now I become silent. And so now he's not only silent, but he's also moved on. And what that causes sometimes is what we see in number 7. Number 7, Brother Fontenot.
It says, the watchmen that went about the city found me. They smote me. They wounded me. The keepers of the walls took away my veil from me.
So now she's now gone out into the night. The problem here is that she's in a place now where she should not be at a time when she should not be there. And she is, what happens with a lot of us in our relationships is that we then get mislabeled, we get misjudged, we then get mishandled, we then get stripped of our dignity because somebody then sees us, and the wounding doesn't happen just simply physically, but it happens to our reputation. The whole town is laughing at me. Silly fool. How did you lose such a good thing? That kind of thing. And we don't see that, but this could have been avoided had we just done something small, something very, very simple. And a lot of our relationships become casualties to little.
And I see her desperation. And anytime you act out of desperation, then the results are usually not very good. And I see that a lot in my line of work, where people have two people who love each other out of desperation, then begin to do things that land them in jail, land them with a charge, and you're looking at this happen, and you're like, how did y'all get there? You know. Yeah. But then you dig a little deeper, and you find that it was out of one party. Somebody was desperate. Either he had moved on and she's like, I'm not ready to let you go. She moved on and he's like, I'm not ready to let you go. And so desperation usually ends up pretty bad.
It does. And so, but the whole point of it all is that the people who love each other, and now you've got to grow to a point where, whether it's the man or the woman, in this voice here, in verse number 8, it's the woman who now begins to try and tell others about her experience, to tell others about, this love thing, and about how real it is and how delicate it is. And so that we can make sure that we get off of this never get on this can't get right cycle. Because what happens is, it's not like the crazy cycle. It just seems like you just simply cannot get it together.
You can't get it together.
And so look at what she says in number 8. Brother Fontaine.
I charge you, O daughters of Jerusalem, if you find my beloved, that ye tell him that I am sick of you.
So she is now love sick. Y'all know what all of us have been love sick at a point.
Yes.
And love sick happens when love has gone bad. Last night I was sharing like the analogy about, if you leave food out too long, food goes bad. Food can make you sick.
Right.
If you put love on the back burner too long, it gets stale and it can make you sick. And that's what's happened here, is that what we've done is we put our love for somebody on the back burner. We put our own comforts and our conveniences ahead of those things. And that's what marriage is. When they talk about marriage, the marital vows assume that you love. They say, do you love him for better or for worse? They include the word. For sickness and in health. Richer or for poor. All of the bad stuff is included in there. So that when you experience some of the bad, the dark side of marriage, that you're able to endure, because that's what goes on with it. Man, it's easy to love when everything is going well. The stuff that we have to push through. And so what she's doing now is she's saying, when she says, I charge you, O daughter, she's talking to her girlfriends. She's talking to her little sisters, the younger girls in the community, saying that, man, that I knew love. But what happened is that I'm sick now because I didn't take care of love. I didn't go out of my way where love. And so our willingness, she's now willing to expose herself now. And sometimes we got to be willing to do that, to talk about some of the things that, not just the positive things. A lot of times people see us kissing and everything like that, but we don't want them to see us when we're at odds with one another. Oh, we on the crazy cycle today. And so it's not going well today. But the next time they see us, they ought to be able to see that they've rebounded from the crazy cycle, from the can't get right cycle. And we've got to be able to put ourselves out there. People, these young people, I'm encouraged to see that they're starting to get married again. But do they know how marriage should be done? To stay married.
I think that's the bigger challenge now, only because I see these young people getting married, and the wedding is like
that's the one day,
the one event that they put their everything in their all in all to, but that sustaining power, that is the challenge, because I've seen a lot of young people who have gotten married and then so either thrown in the towel, like I'm not doing this. Like, what do you mean? This is designed to be forever, till death do us part. But that staying power only comes if you have another element to your marriage, if you've left God out,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
it won't last.
No.
And too
No.
often they're starting their marriages off and they're trying to do it without God.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the part when she says, "Oh, daughters of Jerusalem,"
Mhm.
because Jerusalem is Zion.
Yeah.
So if your marriage is not centered around
Mhm. Yes.
Zion, the
Yes.
house of God, the
Yes.
place of God, the
Yeah.
place where you get
City.
divine
Mhm.
inspiration from God for how you do everything, then man, it's due to fall apart.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm
God has to
encouraged
use it.
that this Song of Solomon is in the Bible.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible.
God said, I want this in here so that when men and women read this, they know that I sanction love.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm about
Yes.
intimacy.
Right.
I'm about, I created sex.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
a good thing
Yeah.
within a
Yeah.
marriage.
Within the marriage.
Within a marriage, and I want them to learn how to enjoy each other.
Yeah.
And Song of Solomon teaches us how, yes, you may get in a place where you can't get right,
Yeah.
but in the end,
Mhm.
this is the book of love,
It
and
is.
Yeah.
God is saying, "I'm about love."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
God is
yes.
love. That's
God
what the
is
Bible
love.
says.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen,
Yes.
thank y'all for joining us.
Yes.
Man, we truly enjoyed this conversation. Man, we talked about this part right here. The next couple of months, as we transition, for the next month, Sister Betsy is going to be having conversation with the ladies about the Proverbs 31 woman. About when you're talking about, it's more important for you to be the right person than
Yeah.
it is for you to find the right person. 'Cause
Right.
many of us are looking for the right person.
Right.
But it's more important for you to be the right person. So
Yes.
she's going to talk about this Proverbs 31 woman over the next several weeks. And then in June, when it's Men's Month, Mother's Day for May and Father's Day comes in June. And so we, Brother Fontenot, I'm going to have you and some other fellas to, come together, and we're going to have some talks about what it means to be a man in marriage, and so that's what she's going to talk about. But Solomon sets the tone here for how we should coexist together.
Yes.
And so, but we all have our own individual parts. Before you leave, I'm going to ask that you would contribute towards our scholarship fund. Go to Cash App, make sure it's in the scholarship. The memo is in, or scholarship is in the memo section. And then go also to our mobile app, through our mobile app and our website through Subsplash Giving. There you can contribute towards our scholarship fund as well. I want to pray for those gifts. Father in heaven, we thank you for today. We thank you for those who've gathered in this sacred space with us. We ask God for your blessings upon them. For those who are watching, bless them the same. We ask God that you would bless those who are going to give towards the scholarship fund. Let it be used for helping some young person further their education and give them a jump start in life. And that way, all that they do, you be praised, honored, and glorified. We ask these and other blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. As always, we like to thank you for joining us, and we love
We
you.
love you
you
to life.